What's going on, everyone? Back with another exciting episode of Battleline Podcast. I cannot believe that we are more than 50 episodes deep into this thing since we started nearly a year ago. And I really appreciate all of you who have been loyally listening every week for the past 11 months or so. It's pretty crazy. Pretty much exactly 11 months, just about on the dot. If you've been enjoying it and you haven't yet, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Great episode this week with Leo Jenkins, Army Ranger, who I've known for quite some time, who's been involved in some really remarkable missions, including Operation Red Wings. We talk about that, and we talk about a whole lot more. But before we get into that interview, and before we get into our intro, this is the intro before the intro, where we tell you some of the great people that keep us doing what we do, and that we really suggest that you guys check out. First and foremost, we're going to start with Ned. 50 million Americans suffer from sleep disorders. Many of them are prescribed sleeping pills and subsequently become addicted. There's a better way, so Ned created it. Sleep deeper for longer and wake up refreshed. Ned Sleep Blend is a natural path to steady, consistent, and deeper sleep. This tincture blends CBN, a powerful cannabinoid that promotes sleep, with 750 milligrams of CBD made from the world's purest single-source full-spectrum hemp oil and organic and wild-crafted botanicals used in traditional medicine to foster rest. Want to know more about CBN? Cannabinoid, CBN, is a cannabis compound that occurs naturally as the cannabis plant ages. Previously seen as a throwaway byproduct, it has recently been recognized as an all-natural way to catch some Z's. And look, if you've been going to the gym, which I'm getting back into the flow of that, you're going to need your rest, you're going to need your recovery, and even if you're not in that camp, if you want to function properly on a daily basis, you need some sleep, and you want to find a way to do that that's not habit-forming, that's not addictive, and that's not, quite honestly, destructive to your health. So that's exactly where Ned comes in. All of their products are awesome. You always hear us talk about Ned. And if you want to check out Ned, and especially the Sleep Blend that just came out, you can check it out for yourself, as well as their CBD. We have a special offer for the podcast audience. Go to helloned.com/Battleline, or just enter Battleline at checkout for 15% off your first order, or 20% off your first subscription order, plus free shipping. That's helloned.com/Battleline to get 15% off your first one-time order, or 20% off your first subscription order, plus free shipping. And as we've been saying, man, Ned products have helped me out, they've helped Chris out, and members of our audience are really getting better sleep. It's healing them with different problems that they're having. You can read all about the benefits of CBD, and Ned is pure CBD. You can research them more on their website as well. Once again, helloned.com and offer code Battleline. Thank you, Ned. Today's show is also sponsored in part by Medieval Industries. They manufacture the only fully adjustable foregrip on the market. The 360 VFG mounts to all tactical rails and allows you to swivel and lock the grip into any position on the fly, whether you're hunting, shooting for sport, or challenging yourself in precision tactical shooting competitions. This unique adjustable foregrip will become a natural extension of your rifle. Medieval has expanded their product line to include a quick detach tripod and most recently, quick detach adjustable monopod. They've designed and engineered the necessary components to create a tactical shooting system and have integrated the QD tripod into their line of modular quick detach accessories. Medieval's newest setup, the Overwatch Commander, is an extremely stable shooting platform that's quickly and easily deployed in tight spaces. This new lightweight compact system is capable of what many heavier, larger tripods in the market can do and allows for widespread accessibility because of its small footprint. The entire system weighs just under 6 pounds and deploys in seconds. Guys in the special operations community who have tried it are raving about Medieval's products. If you're a shooter, you want to get on board and check them out. Medieval Industries is committed to providing all gun enthusiasts with precision-engineered, high-quality weapons accessories. All products are designed and developed with first-rate materials for strength and endurance. I know that they're in the works to be seen at some bigger retail stores, but at the moment, just check out their website. It's mid-evil.com, mid-evil.com. And as always, Fort Scott Munitions is a manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC spun ammunition that is designed to tumble upon impact in soft tissue, leaving devastating wound channels for faster bleed out and quicker incapacitation. This ammunition was originally developed to innovate and improve on the standard of military-grade ammunition design. It was found that not only did the TUI ammunition outperform competitors in the self-defense industry, but it quickly became apparent that it would be a top contender for hunters alike. With the ammunition being CNC spun, the tolerances are some of the tightest on the market, ensuring that you receive the same results with each pull of the trigger. Fort Scott Munitions is available throughout privately owned businesses in all 50 states, as well as direct online through fortscottmunitions.com. I actually just made an order with Fort Scott. Love those guys, and I really did use our own promo code Battleline. And you guys got to do the same. Use the exclusive promo code Battleline for 15% off your order. Only available to our listeners. So get on that. Fort Scott Munitions is a proud supporter of Chris Peranto, Battleline Tactical, and the Battleline podcast. As we always say, enough of me rambling. Let's hit it.
From Omaha, Nebraska to New York City, from planet Earth to extraterrestrial life in space, a podcast with no equal, engaged in unconventional warfare through your speakers and headphones. This is a show about embracing the suck, conquering your demons, and finding God in the face of adversity. Chris Tonto Peranto.
Twitch is on. Motherfucker, I'm gonna shoot you in the face.
Ian Scotto.
You know, Ian and I have been dating for a long time.
You are now tuned into the Battleline podcast.
The switch is on. Very excited to have, actually, I would say a very good friend of mine, Leo Jenkins, on the podcast, who's probably one of the first Army Rangers I ever got a chance to meet. And I've stayed in touch ever since, you know, not on a consistent basis, but pretty often.
Yeah.
I hear from Leo, and I feel like he's a guy always up to something new. You know, before we get into anything, I have to mention, just as a diehard music guy, I know you're a rock guy. Man, rest in peace to the greatest to ever do it, Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah, I see that, and honestly, I think my wife. I think my wife told me that before, and I great musician. But I always said, man, he lived a long time. She goes, well, no, he didn't. He was only 65. I said, yeah, but he was 65 and a rocker. He lived a long. I said, in his line of work, he lived a long time. So, yeah, you keep seeing the actual musicians, people that actually play their music. They keep, the guys that we grew up with when actually MTV was still MTV, and or I should say I grew up with. You caught the end of it, tail end. Where MTV was
tail end, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Where MTV was still MTV, and bands still actually played their own music, and there always was that argument: who's the greatest guitar player of all time? But he was always one of the argued to be the best. So, and
I think it was always between him and Hendrix, maybe some Stevie Ray Vaughan, maybe a few others.
Steve, and it was, but yeah, it's just music. The music world lost another professional musician, and I wouldn't say he was a character. I think his lead singers, whether it was Van Hagar or Van Halen, were the characters. Eddie Lee, was it Eddie Lee? How did I say it? Eddie Lee Roth? So I say.
You know what's funny?
I said
We were
Eddie Lee.
talking
I would
about
screw that up. I said what
no,
lead singer.
you when we had Diamond Dallas Page on, you said Diamond Dave at one point, and now
I
we're
did.
actually
I always
talking about
mess up.
Diamond Dave.
I mess up the names all the time. Eddie Van Halen and David Lee Roth. I said Eddie Lee Roth, or whatever. And then Sammy Hagar. But that being said, again, I even still have his. I still even have Van Halen on my workout playlist, and I have Van Hagar.
Who
I
doesn't
know.
though? You
Yeah,
know, it's like
yeah,
those songs are so. The thing about them is, I feel like his playing was so aggressive,
yeah,
yet it was fun. It put
yeah.
a smile on your face every time you heard it, and it's so hard to believe that those two guys didn't get along because when you saw them on stage, you even saw the music
Yeah.
videos, they look like they're having the time of their life. There was always a huge smile on both their faces. And you know what I think is one of the coolest things, just on a human level, beyond just what an innovator and a pioneer he was that those last three tours, you know, some people were like, oh, it's not Michael Anthony, it's not the same. But I
Yeah.
think it's so cool that he got to bring his son out there.
Yeah.
And that first tour, his son was only 16 years old. So basically the last 10 years of his playing career, he got to experience on stage with not just his brother, but his son.
Family. That's a big deal.
And I should pull this up actually, because I thought what his son wrote was very touching, just as someone who has a great relationship with my dad. And I understand, he wrote, I can't believe I'm having to write this, but my father, Edward Van Halen, has lost his long and arduous battle with cancer this morning. He was the best father I could ever ask for. Every moment I've shared with him on and off stage was a gift. My heart is broken, and I don't think I'll ever fully recover from this loss. I love you so much, Pop. And, you know, a picture of them together, and they looked like they really valued that time together.
Yeah, that's good. It's hard knowing to missing time with my kids. I know how hard it is to be away from family, and then you miss all those years. Being able to have a 5-year-old now, and then with the 15-year-old, I get to see. I'm seeing what I actually missed with the 15-year-old. So anytime you have with your children is special, especially if you're able to take them on your job. Have them see what.
Yeah. You know, it was real. I don't know if you saw this. This is one of the last public appearances of Eddie Van Halen that was really funny. I thought was so there was a lot of talk about Eddie suffering with his battle with cancer, but Eddie was very private. He never really spoke about it. He wasn't out there saying I have cancer. There was apparently supposed to be a 2019 final tour with the original lineup, with Metallica on some dates, with Foo Fighters on some dates, which would have been amazing. But behind the scenes, Eddie was struggling with cancer, and he didn't want to say that. But you could check this out. There's pictures of it online. He went with his son to a Tool concert, and a picture came out because some guy at the Tool concert handed Eddie his camera, his phone. And he said, hey, man, do you mind taking a picture with me? Had no idea it was Eddie Van Halen. And so his son took a picture, and he was like, look, you know, this guy asked my dad for a picture, has no idea who he is. And which was just so funny. And people saw that picture, and I think a lot of people said, you know what, maybe his health is okay, that he's out here at his show with his, you know, son. Yeah. But it turned out it wasn't. And one of the crazy things, look, no matter how much of a musical genius Eddie Van Halen was, I refuse to believe his idea that he says, oh, I got cancer from, you know, using a metal guitar pick in my mouth in the studio all the time. I mean, the guy was a constant smoker. It's safe to say he got it from smoking. And, you know, I had a grandpa who had emphysema and lived very long, but it was, you know, grueling at the end. And I think smoking, man, it's just one of those number one killers. And especially if you're a young person listening, never pick it up, man. It's one thing I've never done even once in my life.
Yeah, you know, just be careful what you be careful what you put in your mouth. It's plain and simple, whatever that is. Yeah, I said at 65 years old, you know, if it doesn't shock, you know, in the lifestyle, you know, rest in peace. He was you know, he was a tremendous artist, and obviously he worked hard at his craft. I always have respect whether I agree with somebody or not, as far as their whatever they do on the outside. If they work hard at their craft, that's respectable to me. And of course he did. You don't get that good. I mean, there's natural ability, but you got to put the time into it to be that freaking good. As I said, I grew up with him. I grew up with Van Halen and Van Hagar, and Hot for Teacher is still the best music video ever made. Still. And yeah, you just, and also, you know, he married the girl I had a crush on, Valerie Bertinelli, when I was growing up, because it was that show I was always watching with her on it. That was the age when I was starting to starting to feel my loins a little bit. The puberty started to kick in. Like, oh my gosh, he very probably met Bert Nelly. That bastard! I had a shot. Obviously, he didn't have a shot, but that's cool. Whenever I don't see it as it's sad. It's sad, and just like veterans pass away and people it's sad for any of that. But when I heard it, it wasn't. I didn't like, oh shit, lost another one. It was. I remembered of me growing up with Van Halen, man, and playing football, listening to Van Halen in your 8-track cassette Sony Walkman before going out and playing a game of football. That was what you get pumped up in the locker room to, was Van Halen, man, and Van Hagar. Man, 5150 with Van Hagar, one of the best albums. That's a fantastic album. It's a little poppy for the Van Halen people, but the people that like David Lee Roth over Sammy Hagar. But man, 5150 still is one of the greatest albums, in my opinion, ever. Still, and that's what some of those songs are pulled on my workout list. That's tremendous. So yeah, I know I'm rambling because I'm remembering being a lot.
No, I mean I am too, man. It hit me. Rest in peace to a true legend, a true pioneer. Anyone who's great at their craft is someone who inspires me. It doesn't matter if they're great, honestly, on the battlefield like you, if they're great on guitar, if they're I think people are inspired by that greatness. Like someone who really takes their craft seriously. And actually, I'll throw this out there. When you said whether you agree with people of what they do on or off stage, I will say Eddie Van Halen is actually one of those guys who he played and that was it. Heard him, sometimes get into his playing and the technicality, but I couldn't tell you if he was a Republican or Democrat. He didn't really weigh in on that stuff, and I liked it that way.
Yeah, who again? That's who cares? Just like what you do. You go back to Eddie Van Halen and stuff like that, where if you're in a public eye and you're a musician, I don't want to know your politics. I just let's make people smile with how hard that you put your soul in, how much you put your heart and soul in the music or whatever you're doing, and it comes across. It does come across as being a positive for everybody. So I agree, man. I'm in complete agreement with you. I don't have any. Did he have any I don't care, and honestly, I don't give a shit. All I know is
I don't think he ever did. And you know me, I'm a nerd. I'm someone
you know
who
that. You would have known that.
I'm a music nerd. I'm not someone who just that's kind of where you and I separate. I'm not someone who just says it's a great song. I need to nerd out. I need to know, like, where did they record the song? Who mixed the song? Who produced the song? And and that's why, like, I have listened to, like, all the Eddie Van Halen interviews and the things that I could tell you about him. I'll be honest, very cocky guy, very cocky about his craft, but so are a lot of the greats. So is Michael Jordan, So is Ted Nugent when we interviewed him.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, there's another great guitar player right there. Yeah. No, I agree. That's a great guitar player, Ted Nugent. But yeah,
I actually heard a story.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry that we're going over each other. It's a little bit of the connection here, but no, I did hear a story over everything happening that apparently Ted Nugent at one point early in their careers wanted to play on Eddie Van Halen's guitar and see what it was like, and Eddie wanted to play on his guitar. And because they were so unique with their with the way they set up their amps, the way they set up their guitars, Eddie apparently grabbed Ted Nugent's guitar and he was like, I don't even know what to do with this. I can't play this. And same with Ted playing his guitar.
I heard that. I want to say I heard that. That was when MTV actually still MTV. I think that was on news with Tabitha Stewart. Oh, she was a hottie on MTV. Tabitha Stevens. I think I think that was on there. Yeah, I remember that, brother.
No, I'm thinking Tabitha Sorum, right?
Are you sure it wasn't Tabitha Stevens? That's a porn star.
I know. Oh, is she? Wow, I'm showing. I
ain't ashamed. And I've been overseas for 10 years. Don't even think for 1 second that
Tabitha Soren. Tabitha Soren. I was right the second time.
Tabitha Stevens. I know Tabitha Stevens is a porn star. Hey, man, don't hate me. Don't hate me, guys. And every veteran out there that's been deployed, you know exactly when you said that name. You're like, no, that's not who that is. That's a porn.
To my defense, I could tell you why I remember the name because she's on Howard Stern every now and again. I'm a big Howard guy.
That's right. That's how I remember the name too. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Yeah, sure. That's awesome. Tabitha Soren.
Hey, so
remember that. Yep.
Yeah, so with that, I was going to say before we get to Leo, you just had another Battleline tactical course.
Yeah.
I saw the pictures. It looks like it was a smaller course. Wondering how it went.
No, it was good. Battleline Tactical, we are doing real well. Always fill up. We had about 20 people. It was a private course, so sorry for people that were in the area that didn't know about it. There were a couple that were pissed off that belonged to the range there that we went to, and they're like, why didn't we know about it? Well, it was set up by a private organization organizer that wanted to have it for a specific group of people, which we do at Battleline. You just have to contact us. Uh, um, but Yeah, it was fantastic. Always. And Lake Geneva, if you've never been to Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, that's I mean, it's like an unknown gem. And the Grand Geneva Resort is right next to the range, and it's for the kids. It's just a beautiful area this time of year. I mean, that's fall, that's Halloween, that's the trees changing, and people get into the season, and it was awesome because it was still 60 degrees, 65, and beautiful day, and you get to get out there and shoot with great people, and they're all having fun. You had some very beginners, like never shot before out there, and it's always wonderful to see the smile on their face when they realize that the gun is. You don't have to be afraid of a gun. It's not scary. It's the person behind it that's the problem, if it's a bad person or not. But just to see them gain confidence in themselves, and I implore uh, a lot of people, if you're afraid of weapons, get out there and go shoot one. Get with an instructor that's not an arrogant piece of shit. I mean, I can be at times, but not when I'm on the ring. That's just not what it is. Because you get somebody that's very timid around a firearm. You want a good instructor out there that's willing to listen. Daniel Lombard teaches with me, and of course, those that have been with Ben Morgan and Benny Glossop know this as well. Very patient. We're not going to yell at you. It's just not. That's not how you learn out there, and that's not how you gain confidence with the firearm or gain confidence in yourself. And so it was great. No, you get. I love seeing the smiles on people's faces at the end of the day. We're like, man, this was actually pretty fun. I didn't know if I was going to like it or not. This was, I enjoy, and you just see their confidence in themselves rise because it is an empowering thing to have a gun. It is. I'm not going to lie and tell you, it's not picking up the gun, knowing how to use it. The empowerment turns into confidence if you have a good, genuine heart to begin with. If you're an asshole to begin with, then that does turn into more arrogant with it. But that's where, as an instructor, you lead them in the right direction, put them on the right path right at the beginning. Like, hey, don't use it unless you need it. This doesn't make you any tougher than anybody else. In fact, it could go the opposite route, but have the confidence that you know how to use it if you have to in this situation that arises. And man, you just see the smiles, dude. It was great. It was a fantastic course.
I'll tell you something interesting. Exactly what you're saying now is something that I think is echoed among guys like you who have seen the same thing. Because I could tell you right now, I'm doing, as you know, I'm working on Jim West's audiobook.
Yeah.
And Jim West echoes a lot of the same things you say in his martial arts book. That's basically like, hey, here's some crazy bar fights I got into. But if there's one thing I could suggest, it's like, don't go looking for trouble. You should have this in your back pocket if you need it.
Yeah. But don't ever get in front and say, I'm going to start this fight. I want to get into it, because it's always going to end badly. The best way to win a fight is to not get in a fight at all. And walking away is okay at times. There's times to defend yourself, and there's time where there's that last resort. What do? I got no other option. All right, well, now I know what to do. I have the confidence to do what I need to do to stop this, whatever's happening to me. And I do get real with them. I tell people, hey guys, this is a gun. This is not stopping a threat. I'm not going to get into the semantics. You may have to kill somebody. Are you ready and willing to do that? I don't want you to. I don't want that even to be on the table unless that's the only option. But understand that that might happen, and if it does, it will change your life forever. And it will. I know guys. Oh no, I even get to tough guys saying, "Oh no, I still feel this." No, it will change your life forever. It will. But when you put that all on the table, then they see that you're genuine. They see you're authentic. You're not just trying to. You're not just trying to use a spell on words to downplay it. And I think when you start with that way, their eyes pick up first of all, and they say, "Okay, this is very serious. I need to be safe with this thing." But then, like I said, at the end of the day, they understand that we're not teaching you to go out there and start a fight. We're not teaching you to hurt anybody. We're just teaching you how to defend yourself and take care of yourself and kill that person. Or if you want to say stop the threat, as a lot of instructors would say, stop the threat if somebody's trying to hurt you or your family members. But other than that, no, if you don't have to use it, get out of there. Walk away. And yeah, I would never, and any good instructor would never say, let's just get into it. Yeah, I know it switches on, shoot that motherfucker in the face. Yes, I said that. And yes, downrange, that is applicable.
Yeah, exactly. That's a different. Well, that even goes into that if you are someone who is looking to do that, and you're of the age, go to a recruitment center. But in terms of domestic, it's a different situation.
Completely different situation. And I think if you come to Battleline course, you'll see how this all comes together. And again, at the end of the day, I always see a smile. I've never seen a whole class leave where there's not a smile on someone's face, if not the majority of their faces. There are guys that come in that are very good and they want to improve and they get frustrated because maybe they didn't do a tactic right. And it's like kind of losing the game, knowing that you can win, but the clock ran out. It's like, oh, this is the end of the course, guys. I know you want to keep doing this over and over again, but we got to go home eventually. They get a little upset, but it's not a frustration because they're upset at the course. They're a frustration because they want to keep working at it, and it's just more of a frustration in themselves. But that's great because then they go and they improve on their own, which is, as an instructor, is what you want to see. You want to see them practice on their own and improve. So they put me out of a job. I don't want to have it. If everybody's doing everything correctly, then there's no need for instructors, and that's great. But mentally well, and having the mindset of don't go looking for that fight. Ever go looking for a fight. Walk away, get out of it, get out of that situation, unless that's the last option. And then if that is, all right, switches on. You picked the wrong person to mess with. Don't go thinking that, don't go looking don't go looking to get in a fight in Wisconsin. Put it that way. And that can go in different routes. Yeah.
Okay, well, with that, Fort Scott Munitions is helping us do what we do every single week on this podcast. You guys know them. Many of you have already ordered from them. They are a great manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC spun ammunition. It's designed to tumble upon impact. That's their trademark, tumbles upon impact in soft tissue, leaving devastating wound channels for faster bleed out and quicker incapacitation. This ammunition was originally developed to innovate and improve on the standard of military-grade ammunition design. It was found that not only did the TUI ammunition outperform competitors in the self-defense industry, but it quickly became apparent that it would be a top contender for hunters alike. With the ammunition being CNC spun, the tolerances are some of the tightest on the market, ensuring that you receive the same results with each pull of the trigger. Fort Scott Munitions is available throughout privately owned businesses in all 50 states, as well as direct online through fortscottmunitions.com. FortScottMunitions.com. Go there now and use the promo code Battleline. You're going to get 15% off your order, and that's only for our listeners. You just heard Chris talk about his Battleline tactical course. They use Fort Scott Munitions there. It's the best. So Fort Scott Munitions is a proud supporter of Chris, Battleline Tactical, and us here at the podcast, and we're very excited to bring on Leo Jenkins, 75th Ranger Regiment, 3rd Ranger Battalion, combat veteran, medic, author of many books. The latest, which just came out, is War and Pieces. Leo is probably one of the first Army Rangers I ever got to hang out with. And you know what? Even though I just moved temporarily to my parents' house, I still have the challenge coin you gave me. I will always keep that, the Ranger challenge coin.
I mean, it says something that I didn't turn you off from the whole experience of hanging out with Rangers. We can be a bit of a ruckus bunch if you're not used to it.
That's what I was gonna say. I was like, holy shit, how come you still are like talking to guys like Leo and myself? Ian, how the fucking Leo fucked it up for everybody. Everybody go home. Fucking Ranger suck.
Well, it was really you and Marty Scoveland around the same time, and you guys were doing a lot. And one of the things about you that I think I said it in the intro is you're someone who is constantly doing something new, whether it was like that nomadic veterans trip with, if you want to call it a trip, with Marty, where you just traveled all over the country, or going overseas snowboarding or writing books, doing these poetry readings across America. Like, I feel like you're someone who is always exploring new territory, which is just so cool to see.
Yeah, boredom doesn't wear well with me. If I'm not doing something, I'm a real asshole to be around. My wife can speak to that. She's like, just go paint or go write or go surf, go do something because I don't want you under my feet. I'm a child that way, so it's something new and like to entertain. And once I figure something out, I kind of get bored with it and I set it aside and I go try to figure something else out. So that has led to being a jack of many trades and a master of none so far. So
my question was, and this is a Ranger question more than anything, which one of you guys smells worse after being on the walkabout, you or Marty? Because Marty just looks like he stinks, man. If he hadn't taken a shower in a while, I wouldn't want to be his damn Ranger buddy at Ranger School. Yeah. Holy shit! So which one of you just has the odorous, really assy smell that you get down in that taint area? You know, you just can't get rid of with one wet wipe. You got to like three.
I got to draw back on the medic experience, right?
And I saw that, I'm like, holy shit!
What is it? The olfactory fatigue, right? So like the 12 cranial nerves, right? One of them being that that nerve, once you're around a certain smell for a period of time, it just goes, all right, I'm done smelling this. So I think after the first like hour and a half of us hanging out in a boxcar, in an old coal train together, we just couldn't smell each other's stank anymore. And then all there was left was just to hash out every different philosophical argument that we could for 3 weeks.
That's cool. I remember paying attention to that, and I knew Marty, before Leo. And again, I don't know if we've actually met, maybe at one of the trade shows or something, but or Marty's spoken of you.
No, we never have, man. And like it's a huge thing for me to be able to hang out and talk with you and meet you. I think the closest that we've been has been on the wall at Emmett O'Looney's. Both of our books are up there.
That's right. Oh man, what a great place too. That sucked shutting that place down. That was a fantastic, man.
One of my favorite spots. I mean, anywhere to grab a pint and have good conversation, and phenomenal spot.
And I do know that Emmett still listens to the show, so it's cool that we still have this community.
It is.
I mean, he was a stop off on the Nomadic Veterans trip, and he never heard of us, he never met us before, and he put us in the back booth, and he just kept feeding us the whole time we were there. We sat there, charged our phones up and everything. Such a gracious human being and patriot. And I went back there, did readings there, and just an awesome spot.
It is. I think his dad's place, they even closed his dad after the pandemic or whatever. His dad's place shut down too, because they had Emmett's place and they had O'Looney's, and it is because now you just have no place to go in New York for us where we can actually get in somewhere in New York City. I guess we can fit in everywhere, but you feel comfortable because you're right at Emmett's place. You could get in Emmett. Hey, what's going? And he put me in the back, same thing, back booth. And nobody bothered me, and he just bring me food, and I just get to sit there and read and hang out, someplace private in New York, which is hard to do in New York. So, man, I agree. It's too bad, but that's still tremendous. You and Marty doing that. And I want to know, and this is from me. I just want to know. I don't know if the listeners want to know. And honestly, I don't care if you guys want to know. I want to know. What drove you and Marty to do that, to do the little walkabout, to do the boxcar thing? I thought it was cool as hell. I mean, it's just something I would never think of doing.
Marty gets all the intellectual property rights on that concept. I helped him tweak it a little bit, but so interesting thing, right? Yes, and he's like, "Oh, would you want to know what it is?" I'm like, "I don't really care. I'll see you in Denver in 3 weeks." So, I was in Santiago, Chile, competing in the CrossFit Games regionals there, and he called me up. He had just I met up with him, and he told me what was going on with it. He's like, I want to try to get, as far as we can with nothing but a backpack and $100. And I was watched The Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Great movie, though. That is a great movie.
With Marty, like, this is my kind of a thing. So like I got really excited about it, and then we started like the Ranger planning mode. Marty is the kind of guy who will take something and just like, oh, this is I'm going to chase this idea to the furthest extreme and trying to figure things out beforehand. And so it was Marty's idea, and and so am I. So he called me up, and it was essentially like, hey, do you want to go do this adventure with me? I got this idea, like this thing. Helped tweak and tune it a little bit, but it was definitely his op order, and it was just like it was a way we're like this traveling thing. And I was like, yes, I sure do. And
you had me at hello. It did.
Yeah, I kind of just do something fun together that could bring awareness to a great organization that was helping veterans with their transition. And I had just written on assimilation, and so I was like, this is perfect. It's just fortuitous, and everything kind of lined up. So, what a trip it was, man! It was really fun. And we've been trying to figure out a way to do something else like that together ever since. It just hasn't worked out with our timing.
Well, you're both fathers now, so it's a little bit different.
His wife was actually 8 months pregnant when we left on that trip, which says a lot.
What a dirtbag! That douche. He just let what? I'm kidding. No, Marty, I love you.
You said yourself you were watching The Simpsons while your wife was pregnant, so you can't talk.
Yeah, that's what I meant to. I was our first child was born. As the child was being born, the TV was on, and I had The Simpsons on. Like, yeah, go, honey. Good job. And watching Bart Simpson on the TV while my first child was. Forgot about that. Yeah, I'm a douche.
The doctors there catching. If you could be there for moral support. I mean, that's about the extent of it.
Yeah, what am I supposed to? Yeah, exactly. What do I need to do? It was. I want to see. Let's see the placenta come out. That's all I want to see the growth stuff.
Yeah,
that's cool. And then no, I know. I'm gonna get hit for that. She's gonna listen to this later too. She's gonna whoop my ass again. That's all right. Thanks, Ian, motherfucker. Thanks.
Hey, you know what I wanted to get into? We'll get into the book itself, but for the listeners who might not be familiar, since this is a newer show, I know people have heard us on before. But I'd love to get into just your background in 3rd Ranger Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment, and some of the awesome stuff you did. I mean, you were involved also with Operation Red Wings, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I came in what I consider to be the sweet spot, timeline-wise, right? At least for like the Ranger mission, and I came into the Army in early 2003. And went through the whole pipeline of basic, and then medic school, and then jump school, then RIP before it was RASP, and then into SOCM. And so it took a while. It was almost like a year and a half before I got to 3rd Battalion. But it was at a time when there was a couple of deployments that had happened, for the GWAT, and the guys were kind of figuring it out. I also got there literally the day, my first day in regiment was the day they announced the relaxed grooming standards. So things were kind of starting to go in this direction of the mentality of like non-conventional warfare, like really that taking hold. Like we were allowed to choose our own boots out of like 4 different kinds, right? And this was such a huge thing, right? And so like it was like
that's monstrous.
Yeah, it was were huge things, man. Like because it had been regimented for so long, and but we were starting to work in both Iraq and Afghanistan simultaneously, of 2 different kind of theaters going on. When I got to 3rd Bat, they were already deployed. So I met up with them, and I got kind of 2/3 of a deployment in 2004 into 2005. And then I got to really find out what it was like to be a Ranger when I got back and going through the training cycles and stuff. And then my second Afghanistan deployment was the Red Wings one. Was the first mission that kicked it off, and then Iraq in 2006. So I kind of got to go through I actually was able to be the platoon medic for each one of the platoons in Charlie Company before getting out in late 2006. So it was fast, man. I've always looked at it like I did probably like the minimum amount of deployments and work to call myself a Ranger, right? Like 3 deployments is a pretty, for this generation is, I mean, I have friends who are over 20 deployments, and I'm still like in awe that I got to work with some of these guys in this moment of time where we were really doing a lot of work in both of these theaters simultaneously. It was really just this, I was very fortunate to be able to utilize the skill sets that were instilled in me throughout that whole training pipeline and everything. So yeah, it was a cool time.
Your op tempo was crazy. I know you're at that. I was with the contracting at that time, so I was watching you guys from afar from what I was doing with the different contract companies. And honestly, I was envious. Like, God dang, their op tempo is awesome. And you guys were taking on everything. If it wasn't cool enough for blue and green,
Yeah.
it's like, well, reds, we'll do it. You
Yeah.
guys were getting to do some cool shit.
Yeah. It was really,
I was jealous.
It was that moment, man. It was that moment, but like, where we were in between, like we weren't CAGs, like little brothers so much anymore. We were kind of coming up and being able to work near them and take over some of their sets. And yeah, the op tempo was great. And like, but like you look back on it, you're like, man, like that's where I was at. Like it's kind of wild to think about it now. And like I talked to some of my friends once they became platoon sergeants and stuff, like, I'm going to come back. I'm going to be your medic. Like 08, 09, they're like, it's already not the same as it was. So I don't know. I feel like I was so blessed and fortunate to have hit that spot. And with the op tempo so high, I mean, we clipped off close to 100 direct action raids in 3 months. I mean, we were doing
wow
night sometimes. And like, the thought of it now, it's like, and to have all of our guys come home after that much was such a blessing. I mean, that I only barely had to use my medic skills a handful of times, and was really, just yeah.
Do you think that was? I was blessed. Do you think that was? I always, and I of course, I'm sure same as you do. I have a soft spot in my heart for all Bat Boys, so 75th. Because of the training, because of the planning. You talk about the mission planning before you and Marty even went on your trip, where I don't think people realize how much planning Rangers actually do before the mission even kicks off in comparison to other units out there. And do you think a lot of that was it just luck, or was it because of the structure, the regimented planning, having the contingencies, and then being able to think and adjust on the fly, Frago, when things don't work out? What do you think that was, that there wasn't a lot of casualties? And I mean, I think I know the answer because I know how good Rangers are.
I mean,
I'm a junior guy.
Yeah, I mean,
I get it.
There was a lot of sweat in preparation, and there was bleeding in preparation, so that there wasn't that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and sometimes it's unavoidable.
Yeah.
I mean, combat is not controllable. You have, you can control your sector of it, and you can facilitate the things that you've learned. But it's one of the things that makes it such a crucible, such a test, is that at any given moment, even if everything is going the way that you think it's supposed to, all of a sudden it's not. And then you have to react and respond. And something that Rangers are phenomenal at is reacting and responding to something that's unforeseeable, that is the chaos. And then and that, right, is not luck. It's not luck. That is something that is trained into the guys, and it takes a certain kind of person, a mentality, to be able to not go, oh shit, to go, oh shit, go into it, to lean into it, and that's fine tuned, and it's something that I was, I count my blessings every day that I got to work around guys like that. And that was the whole reason for going through all the arduous training, is like, that's the guys I want to be working around, because there's plenty of other units that, they get involved in those like, oh shit moments. And there, even if there's one or two or three people in that falter, that hurts everyone inevitably. So, we were, by my third deployment, we were pretty well-tuned, oiled machine to where we're able to take on whatever, random circumstance happened, whether it was a suicide bomber taking out, half of a squad and then us having to react to that, or a helicopter going down, these kind of things. So, I know you've had your share of reacting to, to put it mildly, tumultuous situations. So you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, and that's where I have much respect, and I always say you can talk about all the other SOCOM units, everything else out there, but being at 75th, that was even that infamous evening. It was always just adjusting. Okay, well, fuck it. Right, it didn't work out this way. What do we do here? What do we have now? What do we do now? And it came back from those guys that I learned from, the Sergeant Hendersons and the Rothkes and the and the Roops and the Caslins and the guys that smoked the shit out of me to make me learn, hey, sometimes you just got to adjust fire and go with it, Ranger, and just figure it out. The plan's not going to go to plan. And like I said, I'm glad you said that, because it brings me back again to guys like that taught me a ton, that I have respect for, that I couldn't hold their jockstrap. I don't give a shit how much I've been through. They were the kings of the kings, and just trying to live up to their expectations, man. And again, how it translates also into the business world. What you just said translates so well into the business and the corporate side of things too, which I know because you're the books you've written and stuff,
and fatherhood,
people resonate from. Like, yeah, well, just don't give up, just don't quit. Yeah.
It's like,
oh yeah,
you have a toddler, like,
yeah,
like, oh man, like you have a hurricane in your house and you're constantly adjusting to like things that you weren't expecting to be happening, like. So the applications are far and wide. The value of those early experiences, our early chapters in our life, that we can kind of carry with us through our character arc. Yeah, man. People thank me, they're like, oh, thank you for your service. They do that thing. And I'm like, I got so much positive out of it. Like, I feel like I should always be thanking everybody else for having the opportunity to spend my early 20s learning those lessons. I've carried them into so many different environments.
Yeah. And how blessed you are, man. It's just how blessed you are to learn all that shit. And
absolutely.
And you got to do it under, literally, I can say, I got to learn all this. People watch movies and they make movies, and I can actually say it, and say it, not just making an analogy, but you got to do it in such awesome experiences. You're like, holy shit, I got to learn all this. Why tracers were going over my head, why something exploded, and you just see the flash in your night vision. Just all the chaos, and I'm learning it all with your adrenaline picked up, and how to and see, like you said, you're smiling, I'm smiling, because it wasn't terrible, it was awesome.
Yeah.
It's being able to apply all those things at the highest levels where the stakes are at the highest as well, and getting an experience like that so you'll always remember it for the rest of your life. No matter how awful it is, it's still an experience like, wow, man, how lucky was I to fucking get to go through that? I got so lucky.
Yeah.
You know what? It's interesting. That's a good way to transition into what I wanted to ask you about. And I know you've written about this, and it's something you've probably talked about a whole bunch. And it's older at this point, but I just would like to kind of get your perspective on it. Whenever Chris talks about 13 Hours, you always say minus a few things here and there. They got the movie right. They got the story right. As someone involved in Operation Red Wings, I know that after people saw Lone Survivor, you were someone who was able to say this isn't exactly how it went down.
Yeah, it was a dramatized version of something that, like, in my opinion, I don't think it needed to be dramatized to begin with, right? Like, there was enough core substance there of guys being there for one another and giving everything for one another that if the film would have just focused directly on what happened, there would have been no need. There was no need, in my opinion, to bolster the numbers and to make it into not something that it wasn't, but to kind of inflate it a bit more, right? And yeah, it's just kind of one of those things where that's kind of sometimes the way that industry is, that like to put people in seats, people who are used to seeing this kind of a body count, like it couldn't have been just 4 guys against a dozen guys, and it'd be like that's a real deal thing, like
that's a pretty freaking
when it's not your terrain, and you know what I mean, like that's a movie, like. But like the idea of the conversation of it being 200 people and a couple of these other things that like, were just, again, in my opinion, you could have made that as close to a documentary as right down to the line of by the numbers and everything that happened. And it still would have been an incredible story of brotherhood and sacrifice, and overcoming. And it was I was a little bit like, all right.
Do you think people don't realize how involved the Rangers were in that rescue?
Oh yeah, well, because it wasn't. I mean, I don't think Rangers were mentioned at all in the book, and I don't know if the movie. It's been a long time, since I looked at it, but it was, if anything.
I think at the end of the movie, they showed the unit coming in, but I knew coming in. I mean, I watched it and that's fucking Ranger Battalion coming in with everything. But I don't think it ever like pointed out. I think there may be a couple of scenes where you see a scroll, but it never was Rangers are coming in to rescue a SEAL again.
Yeah.
Did I say that again? Did I say that? I didn't mean to say that. I'm sorry.
It happens. It happens. It happened. That wasn't the only time on that deployment that it happened for me. But it's just storytelling is storytelling, and we all get to tell our story the way that we tell our story. So yeah, it was a little bit of head scratching for me when I first, because like reading the book and then like the details of the book and then the details of the movie were kind of, it was kind of one of those things like we could just keep it pretty much exactly how it is. You can't put every detail in all the time. I don't know. But I think that's kind of one of those things where Rangers for the longest time have not really been mentioned up until more recently. I think there's a better PR machine behind than they're kind of, I think some of the guys at the top are realizing like, wait a second, the SEALs over here, they're making these movies and all this stuff. And like, as a result, they're getting a lot more people interested in joining their units. And as a result, they're to capacity and they're able to be more selective of the people that come in. I think Rangers, after a long time, kind of figured that out. Like there was a big boost in our numbers, in our selection numbers after like Black Hawk Down came out, right? Like, oh shit, this is what that is. And so, it's a double-edged sword, man. Like those kind of things, and with a movie like with Lone Survivor, I think it did well to boost the numbers of guys who wanted to go and be SEALs.
And getting off the work track, and we touched it a little bit, and then we talked about it. I want to talk about it again. How old, I have a 5-year-old too right now. Talk about fatherhood if you could. I'd like to get into that because it's challenging, and it's something that I look back now because my 15-year-old, I was in Iraq for most of the time. My 15-year-old was growing up till he was about 8. Iraq and Afghanistan. My daughter's 12. I missed a lot of her life. Now I got to be with my 5-year-old. I get to spend a lot of time with my 5-year-old, and I get to see what I missed with my older kids. But I talk to veterans and how you just did, but how fatherhood has been for you. What if it's filled a hole for you, the enjoyment from it. So, maybe 7 guys that still want to get out there and get into the mix every once in a while, maybe, you may want to be around your kids a little more. Cause when you get to be 50, you're going to look back and go, holy shit, I missed, and you're trying to learn your kids again. Looks like I'm doing my 50-year-old. I'm trying to learn and get to be his father again, because he really never had a father till almost 9 years of his life, and all that time I've missed that I'm able to see now with my 5-year-old. So I do. I want you to talk about fatherhood if you can, because honestly, I can tell just by your Instagram post you love being a father.
I do,
and I want guys to hear.
I do, man.
I think it's something they need to hear.
It's an adventure. I mean, and it's like I've been on a lot of adventures, man. Whether it's Afghanistan, Iraq, the stuff with Marty, traveling. I've been to over 50 countries, and man, there's no adventure like being a dad. There just isn't. It's something different, something new every day. And I think like it was a precious thing to me, and to like the idea of like being 50 and looking back and going, oh man, I kind of missed it. Like I know that for me personally, my mindset for a long time was like, I'm not going to even live to see 30, right? Like I wrote my own eulogy in Iraq. Like I was like, we're not going to and so like I was burning the candle that fast. And now that I'm, I'm getting up into my late 30s, I'm going like, wait a minute, like I've got a lot of time. I'm for the first time in my life, I'm like, I could actually live to be like 70 or 80 years old. So the premise of being 50 is very young now for the first time in my life. So looking at it that way, right, it's this paradigm, this perspective shift that even if I didn't write anymore, even if I didn't really do too much in that regard and just spent time with my child, with my daughter until I was 50, I could then still knock out 10 more books, kind of thing, from 50 to 70. That there's a whole other world out there. And this world right now with your child, like you get this day today and today only. Your kid's only going to be this old today, right now. Today's the day when they learn this new thing, and are you going to be there or not? And like I remember, Ian, you took like a year kind of off just to kind of like, or you took that like a So
yeah, pretty much. I mean, just about it. More like 6 months or so, and I valued it, man. It was great to. It was a pretty cool thing to not have to worry about anything.
So I did that last year. I took a whole year off of writing, specifically with the intention of like, I'm going to spend my focus with my child. I'm going to cultivate my land here, and I'm going to build a garden, and I'm going to, we're going to plant trees, and we're going to plant vegetables, and alongside of my kid. And this is this year that I'm going to do that, and I might do that again next year. I don't know yet. But these moments are precious, and they're fleeting, and they are finite, and they are beautiful, and we can set our careers aside for a little bit and focus on our family, and still get our career later, but we can't do it the other way around. It won't work the other way around. We're not going to have the opportunity to go back. And so it's one of those things, man, like, and that child can teach you as much as combat can. Like, truly, it can teach you about patience. A child can teach you about perseverance. And like, I thought I knew what sleep deprivation was. And I had no idea until, I had an infant in the house. I was like, I'm a hard man. Like, I don't wake up 5-6 times. No, it's a different kind of a thing to have to overcome. And like, it's every day. It's a beautiful journey, man. Like, my daughter is a little over 3 years old now. And so she's like spitting back at me, like we're kind of like able to banter a little bit. And she's got her mother's sass, and she's working on having my lexicon and my vocabulary. So, she's got 2 languages, right? She's like, she'll jabber at me in Spanish, and I'm like, I don't know that word.
Well, wait, are you? Because I don't even know. Are you still in Mexico, Leo?
Yeah. I live maybe in less than an hour north of Cabo in the Baja Peninsula, little fishing village here.
So cool.
Yeah. So. Yeah, so
that's awesome.
She's getting it, man. Like she's getting after it in every different way, and she's keeping me on my toes. I'm like she's making me need to learn Spanish because I'm like, oh man, like she's gonna be able to talk trash to me in about a year and a half in another language. I'm not gonna be able to keep up with her.
You ain't good though. You can be like, no sé, no habla español. No. Yeah, cállate, ¿ves? Oh man! Holy shit! I didn't know that. That's fucking awesome, man.
So our daughters.
I had no. My mom's.
She's our anchor baby.
Yeah, go ahead, Brett. I keep.
No, she's our anchor baby.
She's our anchor. That's hilarious. Oh no, so now you're living. Are you pretty much done as far as any sort of paramilitary military work right now? You're just right. You're not doing any. And if you are down in Mexico, don't tell me anyway, because the cartels will come find you. So just give me a wink if you're still doing military work, like paramilitary. I'm kidding. Don't do it. No, somebody's watching.
No.
Or are you done? You're done, and you're just writing books now. And
I'm surfing, I'm writing, and hanging out with my daughter. Planting mango trees whenever I can.
Awesome, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah, the last kind of even close to military work thing that I did was with Team 5. We went down to Peru and did a medical mission. It was 5 guys, and it was like a week and a half in the jungles there, like going to little villages and using some medical skills. It was, 5 former special operations medics. It was the coolest thing. We ended up then afterwards popping over to Cusco and I walked the Inca Trail barefoot to Machu Picchu. It was a real cool experience. And then I drank a bunch of ayahuasca.
Oh, wow.
And
nice.
Had an experience there. And that was the last, that was just before my daughter was born. It was kind of like the last time I operated. And it wasn't really a military capacity. I was just working with guys from our community. Now it's just all chill.
We'll have to hear about the ayahuasca experience at some point, because that'd be a lot to get into, I'm sure. But I, of course, want to make sure we get into the book. So the thing is, everything that you've written has been very different thus far, because you've done stuff about your military career. The last book you did, the poetry book, was really cool in that you had a lot of really heavy stuff in there about combat, but then you also had a lot of fun stuff about growing up. And I remember, like, the first poem in the book was about you growing up listening to Deftones and Dr. Dre. I literally remember that line, which I thought was so cool. This new book, War and Pieces, what inspired it?
Yeah. The poetry in general, I think it was like what we talked about before, about like there being chaos and then reacting to it, right? And poetry for me, like I love writing, and having a daughter having an infant in the house, it became very challenging, very difficult to write long form, to write novels. And so I channeled that energy into writing something like, okay, she's down for a nap. It might be for 15 minutes. It might be for an hour and a half. I want to write something. And poetry is short form enough where I can get a condensed amount of emotion and an idea, a concept out in a few minutes to a half an hour, and it's done. I have a start to finish product, while she's nursing or while she's napping. And so I was able to, throughout her infancy and now as a toddler, to be able to continue to write and produce and to kind of get these things out. I didn't have to kind of fully stop that. I could do it little bits at a time. So that was kind of where the shift occurred. I was reacting to my environment and to my roles as a father. And now that I have this place, like I built this library and office on my property, I have a quiet place to go, and she's old enough to understand. Now I'm writing more novels. I'm writing more fiction. So I've got 2 or 3 books right now that are in the works. So the poetry,
wow.
Writing lyrics, song lyrics has always been something I've been keen on since probably like 8th grade. But poetry, I've always enjoyed it. This was the time in my life where it made the most amount of sense tactically to like, this is when I engage in this. And now I'm able to move beyond this even, and I might get back into it later on. But it was just, I was reacting to the chaos of my environment with this poetry.
So this is kind of a continuation of the last poetry book, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think that what I didn't like about the last one, right? Like the things I look at it, because I'm pretty hypercritical of my own work, regardless of whether it's like lifting a weight or surfing a wave or writing a book. I just wanted to improve on the last one that I did. And I really believe that I achieved that with this. I got to work with some awesome guys at Dead Reckoning Collective about it and with it. And it is poetically, it is a story from war that travels through love to redemption. And it's kind of structured that way in a non-linear flow, but it begins heavily with war and some of those war experiences. And it goes into kind of the tribulations of coming back from war. I had somebody actually recently comment that there's a poem in there called Dear War. It's kind of modeled after a Ginsberg poem called America, but it's about 2 or 3 pages long. And somebody reached out to me and was like, dude, like you condensed all of On Assimilation, your second book, into like 3 pages in this one poem. So I like to think that means I'm getting better and more specific, but it goes through that process of like getting out and going through those bumps and reflecting on them, right? Some of those times on ayahuasca or on peyote or on psilocybins, these things, and like meditating for long periods of time and trying to figure them out, and then going through love, right? The love of a child, the love of a spouse, the love of your brothers. And making that be, kind of what your essence is, and finding the first kind of steps onto the path toward redemption as a human and toward grace, really. And that's what I was attempting to capture with War and Pieces. And I think for the most part, I got it. I feel pretty happy about it. I feel content enough with it and good enough about it where I don't feel like I have to do another poetry book in order to, fill in the gaps that I did with this one. I feel really pretty sound about it, and it's resonating with people. And so now it's onward to some fiction novels that I've been tinkering with for a little while now. So,
man, I think the authenticity that you bring, because you're as any writer should, it should come from the heart. Anybody that's having issues out there, if there's guys that are going through their hard times, picking up one of your books from with especially the poetry, I think it's going to bring them, recenter them. It really will, because it's like, hey guys, this is how you get through it. This guy's been through a lot of shit, and he's a good father now. He's going through the fatherhood and he's finding out that, wait a second, this, it's war and all that. That's a brotherhood. Family's another brotherhood. There's love in all aspects. We're bringing it all together. And it took me till I was 50 to figure that out. I'm glad you're figuring it out when you're 30. You're a lot smarter than me. It took me a lot of fuck ups to like figure, okay, that didn't work. That didn't work. I should have planned better. Didn't plan for shit.
Like you said,
I think guys should do that. They should pick up that book.
We stand on shoulders, and you're one of those guys, right? That like I'm standing on your shoulders in a sense, right? Like I figured it out maybe a little bit quicker because I have role models like you. There are people out there who have been figuring this out, and hopefully the next generation of guys, they figure it out before they're 38, like they can figure it out in their 20s. And man, what a glorious experience that we have from combat to bring to the rest of society. This kind of warrior culture and what we have, and go, hey, look, this is what we've seen, and this is what we've interpreted out of it. It's a valuable thing. And now I'm working as an editor of the second. Now this is the second collection of poetry that we're putting out from veterans all over the world. I had I kind of created this concept and worked with Dead Reckoning on it. It's called War and After. That should be coming out around Veterans Day. But I think there's like 60 or 70 different veterans who are featured their poetry, and I've been really encouraging people write these things, get them out, and we'll collect them. I'll read them, and we'll put them into a book, and then 100% of those proceeds goes to a veteran charity that helps veterans with this process. So yeah, it's a powerful medium. Poetry is something that. It's not like, you've experienced writing the books. That's a lofty undertaking. A poem is something that you can just vomit out your emotion about something in a pretty short form and get it out and then share it with the world, this worthy experience. And that's really kind of the mission that I'm on right now with poetry. Beyond my own work is the thing I find to be more important is getting other people to engage in that and then giving them a platform to publish their works. So again, working with Dead Reckoning on those collections. This is the second volume. The last one did very well. A lot of people involved with it and a lot of people getting their experience out. So,
Man, that's amazing. And you're right. Maybe that's what I need to do is poetry, because writing books. That's the third one. I'm not doing another one because I felt like the last one, it was good, and I'm glad I got the stories out, but it felt like assignment.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus, I'm back in grad school again. Writing this shit. But I never thought of it, because you're right. You think of it in the way you planned it. Hey, I got 30 minutes. My kid's down for a nap. Hopefully he's not going to wake up. I can bust this out in 30 minutes and be done. That's brilliant. See, that's why you're a fucking smart ranger, and I'm still trying to figure this shit out. I was like, that's the most brilliant thing I've ever heard. Holy shit, how did I not think of that? Because I'm an idiot. That's why. Okay, got it. But that makes perfect sense. And you help another veteran. I highly recommend. So get with Leo. Don't kill his Instagram page with DMs and stuff. I get it. But if you're having issues, I know you're going to listen to him. If you see something in there and I know you can feel it, you read it, and you can, okay, this guy, I probably need to reach out to him. This one's just, but you can tell, because you want to help. And that's awesome that you're still helping guys find a way to overcome adversity through writing, which to me is the best. I know from my experiences is one of the best ways to get through that adversity is put it down on paper. Don't be ashamed to put your faults down there. Put it down and overcome. That's amazing, brother. That's amazing.
Thank you.
I'm impressed.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you know what you mentioned.
Okay, I'm not sucking off Leo anymore. Sorry, that delay.
You guys both have.
It's
a mutual thing. It sounds like, but no, and you mentioning the plant medicine stuff.
Not there, Ian. What are you talking about? I was sucking.
You mentioning the plant medicine stuff, though, I think is important as well, because I don't know. I'm not going to act like I know much about it. I've never experimented with that type of stuff, but just objectively looking at it, the stuff that is killing veterans and getting people hooked is the opioids, all the other stuff. The people who have tried ayahuasca, like yourself, I really haven't heard anything that negative at all. It seems like it's all been positive. So I've seen a lot of documentaries on it, and we always hear the stay away from drugs thing, which I am definitely not a drug person, but I think the real problem is they're prescribing veterans the wrong drugs, the drugs that are making them kill themselves, the drugs that are getting them hooked.
Yeah, I'm not an expert. I have some anecdotal experiences. I think as far as experts in the field, there's a organization called the Heroic Hearts Project. That was formed by a guy from 2nd Ranger Battalion, and he's really leading the way in that regard. And if people want more information on that kind of stuff, that's a great resource. I can tell some stories and talk about my own personal experiences. I agree with you 110% that we're not we are starting to reevaluate these types of things, specifically psilocybins, right, mushrooms, as being a much more powerful and effective antidepressant and anti-anxiety medicine. The numbers in the preliminary tests right now it's phenomenal. The results of them, where like one single treatment is like 70% effective, right, across the board with people. So there's a lot of validity there. And they've been stigmatized and lumped into this category of heroin and meth for like a really long time. And realistically, a mushroom is a plant. It is a fungi. It's it's something that's there. And if we can, because I was a huge anti-drug person. Any kind of drug, like I didn't smoke pot until like well into my mid-20s for the very first time. Like I was keen on working for the DEA. In fact, I was the fast team medic, contracted with those guys for a while. I was very and through my travels and people I've met, I've had my perspective shifted on what a drug is and what a healing substance is. And it's there's a lot of people out there who could speak more intelligently to it than I can. But I can tell you that from every one of my experiences that I've had, it's been 100% positive, except for one ayahuasca experience that the shaman wasn't really terribly present. And I'm kind of, it got a little bit dark for me for a little while. But as a result of getting deep into that darkness, right, like I was able to crawl out and see, a lot of things that I didn't before. And the long run of that, it was a very positive thing. So it's, but yeah, you don't hear about, veterans killing themselves, after taking too many mushrooms. That doesn't happen. At least, nowhere on record. So, but whereas with some of the stuff that the VA is prescribing and how they contradict one another, I've been to too many of my friends' funerals as a result of those exact drug interactions that have been prescribed by the VA. And it's time that we kind of like start rethinking the narrative on those things.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
No, I agree. Having experienced on meds from the VA, and I know they mean well. They're not doing it. The people there are trying to help, but it made things worse. And I do the CBD oil, and I think it works. It worked well for me. I don't need anything stronger than that. But I could tell the difference when I got off the meds and started doing the oil. We're like, and I'm not in this up and down where I'm just all over the place with the VA meds. Where CBD, I was finally just, all right, good. Hey, I'm good. I'm just right there level. And it was, I completely agree. It should be looked at. The natural remedies, totally agree. It should be looked at as being a viable option, or even a viable replacement for hard meds that I can tell you did nothing for me but make it worse.
I mean, and I could tell objectively from just having this conversation, you could tell when a guy is on meds and he's in a whole nother universe and he's not present. I mean, speaking with you right now, I'm assuming you're not on anything at the moment, but you're completely present, and I know that you seem completely fine right now. So, I mean, the difference of a guy who's on opioids and you're like, wow, this guy is fucked up right now. He needs some help. So, I mean, everything you're saying makes sense to me. I think it's something that at the very least needs to be looked at. Wrapping things up here, because I know Tonto's to go in a little bit. I know you're a big music guy with the loss.
And so brother. Yeah. Hey, I'm sorry, you didn't mean to cut you off. Just so you know, it's kids' time. I promised kids pumpkin patch.
That's the number one.
So that's why I had to cut it short a little bit on my side. Yeah. Okay. I knew you'd understand, but I wanted to make sure you knew why. It wasn't because I don't love seeing your pretty face, man. Because I do. I really do. It's just, yeah. My 5-year-old will come knocking on the door. Daddy, time go, and we.
It's H hour. Let's do this. Come on, you guys. That's awesome, man. That's so cool. You guys are gonna go pick out some. I'm trying to teach him that H hour. He hasn't got it yet. I'm trying to teach H hour, Daddy H hour. I got. Go get it. Sorry, Ian. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's all good. And for the listeners, there's a little bit of a lag, so that's what you're hearing. But no, I know you're a big music guy. With the loss of Eddie Van Halen, just a really quick question I got to ask favorite Van Halen song?
Oh, and there is no bad Van Halen song as long as you've got a drink in your hand and you're like, you know what I mean? Like anytime there's like I just feel like anytime Van Halen would come on, like, so there's a couple of like Cabo Wabo type places nearby, and like there's like
Nice.
you can't. It's like Journey. It's like, what's the best Journey song? It's like they all make you go, yeah, just jump, right? Like you just can't. Yeah, there's, it's just that. Yeah, I don't know if there's a bad one.
Okay, all right. Then Van Halen or Van Hagar. I like both. I'll put mine out there. Actually, I have favorites on both sides. But do you have a favorite? And being down in Cabo, are you leaning that way towards the Van Hagar? Or,
yeah, I mean,
or
Sammy
are you
Hagar is
still?
like,
I like both. I play.
yeah, I mean, Sammy Hagar is kind of an institution here, and you can't. I'm not like, I'm more worried. I would be more worried with the neighbors that I have about trash and Sammy Hagar than saying something that would upset the cartels. Let's just say that.
That's all right. One last thing. Before you, and I always do it with the guy from Battalion, with the Bat Boys, the 75th guy. Always have kids listening, high school kids or those that are like in college that are thinking about joining. Give the advice to the guy that wants to join 75th Ranger Regiment and what he should prepare for before he gets there. So maybe tell him something that you wish you would have known before you sign that option 40 or that RIP contract.
I had a super squared away mentor. He was a PJ for 10 years, and the advice he gave me was know the Ranger Creed inside and out before day one. That helped me out quite a bit, right? Like I had it memorized before I started medic school. Yeah. That's something that anybody can do, right? Obviously, physical fitness. There are so many different pages out there that will help you with that. My advice for me personally would be, if you're embarking on that journey, to enjoy every step of the way, to enjoy the discomfort in it. When you're in RASP and you're out there in cold range, take a moment when your feet are wet and you're cold to go, this is it. This is the moment. Where any stage of it, right? Like that's the advice. Like this is the moment. Like love it, because you're going to look back on that time and smile, even though you were miserable in that moment. Like enjoy the misery. It's all beautiful, all of it, man. Like you don't realize it so much at the time unless you're present. That the guy on your left and right are the guys. They're the guys who are literally going to be coming down and visiting your house in Mexico 17 years later and drinking all your beers. And it's the truth. Like be present in the moment. And enjoy every step of the journey. Enjoy it. Truly enjoy it. Enjoy, how much your knees hurt in airborne school. Enjoy all of it. It's beautiful. It's all beautiful.
Oh man, that's well said. No, it's awesome. I got nothing to add. Better than well, you need to start doing the show, Leo. I suck. You're a lot better than you. Yeah.
No, this has been great, man.
Ian,
I love it.
I'm not kidding when I say, like, I've been looking forward to this for weeks, man. Like I really have. As soon as we figured out it was going to happen, I mean, with my boy Ian, like every time with him, and to be able to kind of like meet you this way it's like I was lately, like, it's an honor. It truly is. And like I told a couple of people, like I told my dad, he's like, you really? Like he'll talk to you? I'm like, yeah, I think so.
He'll talk. Like, Dad, thanks. I appreciate you. Just reaffirmed, validated my whole life right there, Dad. Thanks.
That's so. But you're like a Hollywood guy. You're not just an Army Ranger.
Oh, hey, but but that's being said, you have carte blanche on the show. You got a new book coming out. You call me,
thank
get
you
on,
so much.
man. I always, and I have so much admiration for Rangers, especially I was a contractor through all GWAT. I was a peacetime Ranger. I did all the 10 years I was in. It was all, and granted, it was fun. I had a great time. No oversight at the time when we were first doing it. But talking to the GWAT Rangers, the young guys like yourself that got into it and had no choice but to take off running, I have so much respect for you guys, because it was like sheer madness, and you handled it so well. And you took missions on that only green and blue could have, and red showed that no, we're fucking perfectly capable to do these on our own, and you did them well, and you weren't pretentious about it. You took everything. So to me, I admire that, because I was like, yep, that's the Rangers I learned from, and those are the guys that I have so much respect for, because They just do the work. Just give me the work. Whatever fuck it is. I don't care what it is. HVT, or we're going to go search a village. I don't care. Give it to us. Yeah. That was awesome.
100% and then some.
So, man.
This was so much fun, man.
Roger that, man.
Once again, the latest book is War and Pieces, but Leo has several books you can check out. So go to Amazon, look up War and Pieces from Leo. He's holding up the cover right here. I mean, it actually was a really cool looking cover. At Leo_Jenkins on Twitter, or I should correct that, at Leo_Jenkins_ on Twitter, at Leo_Jenkins on Instagram. But yeah, this has been great. It's probably been several years since I got a chance to speak with you. And we'll meet up again soon. Maybe I'll have to take a trip out to Mexico because New York is not that fun at the moment.
Yeah, I wanted to get into that. We're going to have to do it at another show because I'm kind of curious of but we got room for you, man. Come on down.
Oh, man, I may take you up on it. And there's a few, few guys I know living in Mexico now, I think.
Go ahead. I'll ask you a question. I'm throwing you off, man. But no. I finish. I keep stepping on Ian because like we're cutting the time, and I want to get all my stuff in before we cut out. Can you and Marty sign that book for me and send it to me?
Yeah,
I'll trade you for something. I want that book.
I've just now started it's like over here somewhere, the collection of like my boys who have written books, and I'm like now starting to get into the swap. Now that I'm not living out of a backpack anymore, I'm into that. I'm 100%. Yeah, we'll get Violence of Action. I'll call up Marty and we'll get one sent out to you, and for sure, too easy.
Yeah, tell him I still love Marty. Tell him I still love him. I miss talking to him. I love that because I was like 2014. That was like when I started writing, and that was one of the ones like, man, that's a fucking great book. And it made it up to me. It made it okay to say I'm a ranger writing books, because it was like a stigma. Like only SEALs.
I think Nick
Irving. Yeah, I loved it. If you wouldn't mind.
Irving was kind of one of the first guys, and I was like, and Marty, and so kind of like. And now how many amazing stories have come out of that, hey, and how much learning has happened as a result of that. So, yeah, I'm glad that stigma broke.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah, definitely. Sorry, Ian. I jacked it up again. Chris fucked it up for everybody. Everybody go home. He keeps messing up the interview.
No, this was perfect, man. And there you have it. Another episode in the books. And if you'd like to order one of our very awesome Battleline podcast t-shirts, we have the link right there in the description of this episode. And of course, if you're looking for ammo, I know a lot of you guys are, everywhere is sold out right now. You're thinking, where do I go? Well, if you didn't hear my first two reads, I have the answer. It's Fort Scott Munitions. Fort Scott Munitions is a manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC spun ammunition that is designed to tumble upon impact in soft tissue, leaving devastating wound channels for faster bleed out and quicker incapacitation. This ammunition was originally developed to innovate and improve on the standard of military-grade ammunition design. It was found that not only did the TUI ammunition outperform competitors in the self-defense industry, but it quickly became apparent that it would be a top contender for hunters alike. With the ammo being CNC spun, the tolerances are some of the tightest on the market, ensuring that you receive the same results with each pull of the trigger. Fort Scott Munitions is available throughout privately owned businesses in every state, as well as direct online through fortscottmunitions.com. Use the exclusive promo code Battleline for 15% off your order, but seriously, go there now because everything is selling out fast. I'm not just saying that as a marketing ploy. I mean, it's just like every other ammo site in terms of how quickly things are going out the door, but they still have great deals. So it's fortscottmunitions.com, offer code Battleline. That's it. Go there now. Fort Scott Munitions is a proud supporter of Chris Peranto, Battleline Tactical, and the Battleline podcast. We will be back next week, and next week we are guest-free. So send in your questions to battlelinepodcast@gmail.com. battlelinepodcast@gmail.com, one word. Any questions you have for the show, we'll get to what we can, but that is your homework assignment, I guess. I don't like to say homework assignment because homework is never fun. This is supposed to be fun. But any questions here for Chris, any questions here for me, battlelinepodcast@gmail.com. Signing out. Have a great week.
That's all for this episode of the Battleline podcast, but we'll be back on Monday with more American straight talk. Until then, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Battleline Podcast and on Twitter at Battleline Pod. To sign up for future Battleline tactical courses, go to www.christantoperanto.net. Believe in yourself, face all challenges head on, and as always, never quit.